Have you ever pondered the immense power that education holds in changing the world? A question that truly makes us pause and reflect. Indeed, education is not just about learning facts or acquiring skills. It's a transformative force, a catalyst that ignites change and fosters progress. Let's delve a little deeper into this notion. Reflect upon this profound quote by Nelson Mandela. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. A simple, yet impactful statement. But who was this man who held education in such high regard? Nelson Mandela, a name that resonates with freedom, equality, and perseverance. A man who, despite enduring 27 long years of imprisonment, emerged with an unshakable belief in the power of knowledge. He recognized that education is more than a luxury or a privilege. It's a fundamental right, a stepping stone towards understanding, tolerance, and unity. A tool that has the potential to level the playing field, break down barriers, and reshape societies. Mandela saw education as a beacon of hope, a weapon against ignorance and prejudice. He understood that an educated mind could not be oppressed or manipulated. It could question, challenge, and innovate. It could dream of a better world and then have the audacity to create it. Mandela's belief in education was not just theoretical. He lived it. His journey from a small village in South Africa to the presidential office is a testament to the transformative power of knowledge. His life is a shining example of how education can elevate an individual and in turn uplift an entire nation. So when Mandela said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world," he was speaking from experience. He was voicing a truth that he had lived and breathed, a truth that's as relevant today as it was in the era of his struggle. With this perspective, let's embark on a journey to explore the life of Nelson Mandela and his belief in the power of education. Born in a country riddled with racial discrimination, Nelson Mandela's early life was far from ordinary. Born into the Thembu royal family in Mvezo, South Africa, in July of 1918, Mandela was initially named Rolilala, meaning troublemaker. His father was a local chief, and his mother, the third of his father's 4 wives. In this rural setting, the young Mandela grew up surrounded by the customs and traditions of his people. However, life wasn't all that simple. Mandela's father passed away when he was just 12 years old, and he was adopted by the regent of the Thembu people. Mandela was sent to a Methodist school, where he was given the English name Nelson. Here, he witnessed firsthand the harsh reality of apartheid, a system that segregated and oppressed the black majority. This experience deeply affected Mandela and shaped his views on education and equality. Mandela's early experiences with inequality ignited his belief in the transformative power of education. Stepping into adulthood, Mandela's life took a turn towards activism and struggle against apartheid. With an unwavering commitment, Mandela immersed himself in the fight for justice. He joined the African National Congress, or ANC, in the mid-1940s, and quickly rose through its ranks. The ANC, a political party dedicated to ending South Africa's harsh policy of racial segregation, became his platform for change. Mandela was not just a political activist, he was a symbol of hope and resilience, a beacon of light in the face of a seemingly insurmountable system of racial discrimination. He knew that the battle against apartheid was not just about political power, but also about empowering the oppressed through education. In the early 1950s, Mandela played a key role in launching the Defiance campaign against unjust laws and the Freedom Charter, a vision for a just and non-racial South Africa. These actions, however, didn't come without consequences. Mandela was repeatedly arrested, banned, and even tried for treason. But Mandela was not deterred. He knew that the struggle for equality was a long and arduous journey, and that education was the most potent tool in this journey. He once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." He truly believed that with education, the oppressed could rise above their circumstances, challenge the status quo, and usher in a new era of freedom and equality. To Mandela, education was not just about literacy and numeracy. It was about nurturing critical thinking, fostering empathy, and promoting social responsibility. He envisioned a South Africa where every individual, regardless of their race or social status, had access to quality education. This vision was a crucial part of his struggle against apartheid. While Mandela's fight against apartheid was intense, his belief in education as a tool for change remained steadfast. He understood that true freedom and equality could only be achieved when the shackles of ignorance were broken. And so, with unwavering resolve, he continued his struggle. Not just for political freedom, but for the freedom that comes with education. Even behind bars, Mandela's belief in the power of education didn't waver. In 1964, Nelson Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment. He spent a total of 27 years behind bars, but this did not extinguish his spirit, nor his dedication to learning. In fact, he used this time to further his own education, and to promote education among his fellow prisoners. Mandela once said, "Any nation that does not value its intellectuals is doomed." This belief guided his actions even in the confines of his cell on Robben Island. Mandela, along with other political prisoners, turned the prison into a makeshift university. They taught each other everything from politics to philosophy, from languages to literature. This was not an easy task. They had to do it in secrecy, under the watchful eyes of the prison guards. Mandela's commitment to learning didn't stop at teaching his fellow inmates. He also pursued a Bachelor of Laws degree through a correspondence program with the University of London. Despite the harsh conditions and limited resources, he managed to study and submit his assignments. It wasn't an ideal setup, but Mandela was determined to make the most of his circumstances. His efforts to promote education among prisoners were not in vain. Many of his fellow inmates went on to play significant roles in South Africa's transition to democracy. They were instrumental in shaping the country's future, a testament to the power of education in transforming lives and societies. Mandela's release in 1990 was a momentous occasion, not just for him, but for the entire world. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. But it was also a testament to the power of resilience and the pursuit of education. Mandela walked out of prison not as a broken man, but as a beacon of hope, a symbol of the power of education to change the world. In prison, Mandela demonstrated that education could thrive even in the harshest of conditions. As South Africa's first black president, Mandela's belief in education was reflected in his policies. Nelson Mandela, stepping into the presidency in 1994, was stepping into a role no black man had ever held in South Africa's history. His presidency was a beacon of hope, not just for South Africans but for the world. And yet, among the many pressing issues he faced, education was at the forefront of his agenda. Mandela knew that education was the cornerstone of a thriving society. He understood that it was not just about textbooks and tests, but about nurturing minds, fostering creativity, and cultivating a sense of identity. He once said, "Education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine." Under Mandela's leadership, the government made significant strides in creating an education system that was inclusive and accessible to all, regardless of race or socio-economic status. He championed policies that sought to eradicate the educational disparities caused by apartheid. Schools were built, teachers were trained, and millions of children were given access to quality education. But Mandela's impact went beyond policies and infrastructures. He sparked a cultural shift in how South Africans perceived education. He made it clear that education was not a privilege, but a right that could empower individuals, uplift communities, and transform nations. Mandela's presidency ended in 1999, but his influence on South Africa's education system lives on. Today, the country boasts one of the most progressive education systems in Africa, a testament to Mandela's vision and unwavering commitment to education. Yet the work is far from over. There are still challenges to be met, gaps to be filled, dreams to be realized. But as we move forward, we do so with the knowledge that we are standing on the shoulders of a giant who taught us that education is not just about learning, but about liberation. Mandela left behind a legacy of education as a powerful tool for change. His story is a reminder to us all that education can indeed change the world. And that, my friends, is a lesson worth remembering. Nelson Mandela's life is a testament to the power of education. His journey from a boy in rural South Africa to the country's first black president was paved with lessons learned, both in formal settings and from the school of life. His belief in education as a tool for liberation was the cornerstone of his fight for equality. Mandela's struggle against apartheid, his 27 years of incarceration, and his tireless efforts to dismantle systemic racism are all testaments to his belief in the transformative power of education. As president, Mandela made education a priority, understanding its role as a catalyst for socio-economic change. His legacy continues to inspire millions around the globe to seek knowledge, challenge injustice, and strive for a better world. In the end, his life serves as a powerful reminder of his own words. Indeed, as Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world.